labels, so I don't know what the fuck is going on, but hopefully this is the last of it.
Okay, it says we are live.
Yeah.
And okay, everyone, is there echoes? Everyone do a mic test and let's see if there's echoes.
Chat is happy.
Hello, hello. Audio check. Cryptodamus here.
Astrology Deathmatch.
Astrology Deathmatch to the death.
That's metaphorical death.
Okay,
You're killing us. You're killing us with the technicals.
Okay, all right. All right, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of Astrology Deathmatch. Third time is the charm, and we are all here with no echoes now. All right, thank you for indulging us. It's only an hour and a half late. I mean, what else could you expect from a bunch of astrologers, right? You know, we can barely get anything right. I mean, it's a miracle that this is even working. So here we go. Episode 2. We have Jessica Irene taking on Cryptodamus. We are going to jump straight into the first chart. What is this person's career? Are they an electrical engineer, a painter, a retail worker, or a farmer? Jessica Irene, you're up first.
Yes, I went with electrical engineer primarily due to the Mercury on the midheaven and the Uranus signature in the chart. But I still think this person does a lot of things. I don't think this is their only career.
Yes. Am I supposed to go? Sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
Cryptodamus here. Yeah, Jupiter. Let's see, Sagittarius rising, right? The Sagittarius rising with Jupiter, the Lord of the Ascendant, conjunct Uranus, the planet of electricity. Got to go with that, electrical engineer.
Well, you are both correct. This person is an electrical engineer. And I agree that the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction on the ascendant with the Sun and Mercury on the midheaven is definitely, strong testimony for an engineer. But Jessica is correct. This person has had more than one career and has also worked in supply chain management in addition to being an electrical engineer. But they were an electrical engineer for over a decade. So, all right, here we go. So, Alberto, what is the score?
The score is, I think we have a tie going into this.
Yes, it's 1-1. Okay, let's go on to question number 2. Okay, so question number 2. This question is criminal versus law enforcement, the classic format on the Astro quiz. We got 2 charts. One of them is a criminal. The other works in law enforcement. Can you tell who's who just by the chart? All right, guys. Alberto, what's their time limit again?
We've got 5 minutes to come up with the right answer.
All right, guys, get to work. So, all right, while they are working, chat, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about this question? I am posting the charts to Twitter right now. Does anyone else? I mean, like we've got, what do we have here? We've got Saturn in the first house, Mars in the 12th for chart A. And over here on chart B, we've got what, a mutual reception? Or no, we've got Mars and Saturn domiciled. And there's, kind of a weird like exaltation fall kind of reception going on in chart B. What do you guys think? Anyone want to hazard a guess? What do you think about these charts, Robert or Alberto?
I would start looking at the 10th and the Lord of the 10th, and also the bound that the MC is in. So it's actually pretty interesting to notice that if you look at, I also look at angularity, and the first chart doesn't really have anything angular, and then the second one actually does have Venus and the Moon angular. I would also just point out, like, under the horizon in the first chart, you've got a lot of planets under the horizon that sometimes can indicate a little bit of shadiness or hidden stuff. The second one is very prominent and has a lot of prominence going on above the horizon. I don't want to give away too much though.
Okay, so some people are saying that chart 1 is the law enforcement and chart 2 is the criminal. That's interesting.
What's the home? Can we get a little bit of the math on that, Michael? I'd be curious, or anybody. I'd be curious to hear your reasoning behind that, because doing these identifications is not super easy. Alex is great at pulling really awesome charts that are kind of misleading at times, but we can all learn together if we share some of those ideas.
Oh, well, it looks like Robert, Astro Crypto Guru, has buzzed in before the time limit is up. What is your answer, Robert?
Okay, let me just make sure I have this right. All right, let me look at these. So I can't see the whole charts here. So let me see. The one. So chart A. Sorry, chart A is on the left, right, and chart B is on the right. Is that correct?
Yes,
okay,
that's correct.
So here's my reasoning. Okay, chart B is the law enforcement, because he's got the sun strongly placed in the 10th house. That's like a career, the guy's going to want to have a legit career. Chart B, the ruler of the midheaven is actually in the 12th, which is shitty. And then sun conjunct Pluto, that's like some underworld activity. So that's what I had to go with. So chart A was the criminal. Chart B is the law enforcement. That was my thinking.
Interesting.
All right. Jessica, are you ready? Do you have your answer?
Yes. So I initially thought that chart A was law enforcement, specifically because the moon is applying directly to Jupiter, which rules the 8th, and moon rule is like Jupiter is in the moon sign. So I thought, oh, this is somebody who has retirement money, or has a likelihood of having an increased 8th house resources, sort of a thing. But that was my initial decision. But then I decided against that being the law enforcement, or I decided that person is not law enforcement. This is actually the criminal, because the Saturn in the first house being disposited by the fallen sun, full moon, sort of the dispositorship of so many fallen planets, kind of a thing. So I'm going with A is also criminal.
Okay, yeah, you guys are actually both correct again. Now, this chart is kind of interesting. I quite like it. So I have mentioned on quizzes before that contain criminals, that one easy way to check is to look for an angle where the malefics are each within 30 degrees of that angle, right? And that is proving once again to be a consistent signature of criminal charts, because chart A has Saturn about 25 degrees below the ascendant and Mars about 15 degrees above it. So there we go. Now chart B is actually a deputy prosecuting attorney. So a little bit less conventional form of law enforcement, but still law enforcement nonetheless.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
you've got a Scorpio 10th house, right, which can be investigations. And it's in the bounds of Saturn, which can be police, authorities, things like that. And Saturn's in domicile and joy in the 12th, so prisons, right? So there's something about, I got more of a law enforcement feel from the second one.
Well, Sagittarius, sun in Sagittarius in the 10th Sagittarius is the law in some cases.
Yeah.
But
I still want to know the money situation on chart A. I still want to know.
Chart A, I mean, the ruler of the midheaven in the 12th just made me think of like prison. Like he was like institutions, that maybe he was like a gang leader in a prison or something like that. I don't know.
Well,
That was
I
my-
know
Is that true?
Chart A was a drug trafficker and was also involved in, I believe, probably some violence as well. Those two things tend to go hand in hand, right? Kind of like peanut butter and chocolate, right? Drugs and violence, great combination, lovely combination, actually. Okay, so I have and for everyone watching, there is a thread on Twitter that's linked in the stream that has all of these charts. So if you cannot see it that well on the screen, you can look on your phone and they will be there. I've posted the next question, which we are going to move right along to. Now, this question has a lot of charts, right? So this is
Oh yeah, this was a hard one.
yeah, so here's the thing. We have got 4 charts, right? Here is the first 2 in whole sign. Now here is the first 2 in Placidus, second 2 in whole sign, and the second 2 in Placidus. Now I will switch back and forth between these, but again, just because there's so many charts, you're probably going to want to look at these on Twitter. So, all right. Here we go. Get ready and start your engines and get ready to go. 5 minutes. All right, guys. The post is on Twitter. What does the chat think? One of these people is a waitress. The other 3 are teachers.
This is a tricky
Alberto,
one.
what's your opinion on this one? Alberto, what's your opinion?
Sorry?
On this one? What's your opinion on this one?
Oh, yeah, I found it really tricky personally, actually. I feel like I see teacher significations in all of the charts, which might just be a little bit crazy. So the first one, you've got, say, the sun in the 3rd house of elementary education. It's the Lord of the 9th, which is higher education. The second one, you've got the moon on the ascendant. So I was thinking nurturing, maybe taking care of children. But it does have a Uranus like really tight on the MC, so it's maybe an unusual profession. I'm trying to think of the other ones here. Yeah, I got confused. We've got 2 with Mars on the ascendant. I wasn't quite sure what to make of those either. What is your thinking on, or Alex, without giving it away, how would you start to approach this kind of a puzzle?
Well, I mean, generally speaking, the other person is a waitress, to answer the chat's question. But generally speaking, for a teacher, you want to look for Jupiter and Mercury connections, right? Like them, hopefully both in decent condition and in each other's signs, or one of them ruling the other, right? That's the traditional signification of a teacher. Oh, and it looks like Jessica is buzzing in with an answer, so she gets to go first. Jessica, what is your answer? Oh, wait, we can't hear you.
Okay, there we go. All right. Sure. So first of all, I hate this question. I hate all these charts. In terms of this question specifically, I found this incredibly difficult. Like, the first thing I was trying to do was and maybe I went about this the wrong way, but I wasn't really looking at teacher charts. I was looking just to try to find the waitress. And so for those sort of things, not always, but often I'll look for a 6th house signature, someone who works in like the hospitality industry or service types of jobs, those sort of things. I also tried to assess, like, to be honest, and this is my bias living in Washington, D.C., but I tried to look for the chart that probably made more money, because teachers here probably make less money than waitresses, you know, depending on the place where you work and the type of clientele that you have. But I did notice in one of the charts,
Do you know
on
which
my
one
own
it
screen,
is?
on my own screen, I'm going through them a bit. But in chart B,
Okay, yes, that's on the screen right now. That is the left-hand chart on the screen, chart B.
in chart B, there's a Saturn Mercury square, and specifically Mercury rules the 5th house. And so I thought that this is and also Mercury's retrograde, even though it's in its own sign. But and then Mars is in the 5th, and I thought potentially this is somebody who probably didn't enjoy school themselves, or has maybe just it doesn't really read as a signature as somebody who particularly has a straightforward relationship with youth and childhood. There's some complicated sort of Saturn overcoming Mercury, Mars in the 5th sort of things going on here, and that could all, you know, the moon on the moon on the ascendant with Venus says a different storyline to that. So there's a lot of antithetical things happening in that chart, but it's the only one I could settle on as a justification for not being a teacher. So my answer is B, being as the waitress.
Okay, Robert, what did you think about this question?
Yeah, it's an interesting test, right? Instead of like who's not the thing you're looking for. It's kind of a mind trick. But I just scanned through the charts really quickly. I tried not to overthink it. And I also came up with chart B because Uranus on the midheaven, that person, I didn't know they were a waitress. I just heard that now, but that's like, they're not gonna, that's like too like rigid, too like structured, too like traditional. No way that person's going to be a teacher. They're going to need a lot more freedom in their profession. So I just went with that. I was like, that's probably the one with the Uranus right conjunct the midheaven there. That was chart B, right?
Yes, that is chart B. So here,
that's all. I just based it on that one thing.
Well, a lot of times that's the way to go about it, right? Is to just look for like the first signification that pops that into your head, right? So I've got the charts up. So chart A is on the left right now. Chart B is on the right. So what I was saying when you guys had your cameras off is that, the traditional signification of teachers is Jupiter, Mercury, preferably both in decent shape, and in each other's signs, or one ruling the other, right? Or close together, right? So in chart A, we've got Mercury and Jupiter conjunct in Capricorn, right? And in chart C, we've got Jupiter in Aquarius, and Mercury is in Pisces, right? Mercury is being ruled by Jupiter here. And then in chart D, we have Mercury in Virgo, and Jupiter is here on the south node in Leo, right? So chart D is actually, like kind of screws this thing up, because you might think that, they're not the teacher because they don't have this, traditional signification, but it's actually chart B, right? With both Mercury and Jupiter retrograde and in opposition, which is probably the least like cooperative aspect. They are also both retrograde in chart B. So both Mercury and Jupiter are harmed in chart B. And it probably, even though they're both domiciled, they're both retrograde and opposite to each other. So they're probably not really working together that much. And so, I found that like chart B is the one with the most friction between Mercury and Jupiter. And, that was kind of the signification that I would look for. But both of you guys had great answers. And it's just cool to see how people arrive at the same conclusion through different things. So, Alberto, what is the score now?
The score is, Well, let's see. I think we're still tied. These guys are still. The tension just keeps building.
Yeah, but they're tied. But what's the actual score?
Oh, it's 3-3.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. You're getting better at counting since the last episode.
Thank you. You know, after the astrology gets in my brain, I don't have a lot of space left over for things like counting. So,
all right, let's move on to question number 4. All right. Okay, so I've just posted this to Twitter. This question is, so normally we look at these and we go, all right, what does this person do for a living, right? Now this kind of flips it, and this is like, okay, this is a woman, she's married, what does her husband do for a living? And we've got 4 choices. We have photographer, truck driver, carpenter, and politician. Okay, so here we go. You guys have 5 minutes. We will turn off your videos, and then you just message me when you've got an answer, and I'll turn your screens back on. Okay, guys. So, well, I guess Alberto, do you have any thoughts on this this question?
yeah, I mean, I think, you know, this is where you start getting into derived houses. So if you guys are familiar with that or not, you should look it up. But we're going to basically look for the husband in the wife's chart, and the husband's profession would be the 10th house from the 7th house. In this case, it's a Libra house, right? So we've got Venus is the Lord there, and there's no planets in there, which is kind of interesting. But you know, when you start thinking about what are the attributions or significations of a photographer, a truck driver, carpenter, politician, you know, there are planets and signs that should come up in your head that you can start maybe rejecting some of them that might not feel very Libran. And,
right.
I'll say that one of the main Libran keywords is the name of an actual tool used by one of these professions.
Oh yeah, what is it?
Balance.
Ah, oh, that's cool. Yeah. The carpenter uses balance. Now,
The balance.
Now, you know, for everyone at home, this is where I would start looking, right? So the 7th house is generally the house of the spouse, right? And so you're going to look for planets and placements in the 7th to determine the career of the spouse. For example, Mercury in the 7th is often means that your spouse could be a musician or a poet, right? You know, that's what I think Abu Mashar says that. Anyway, looks like we have Robert buzzing in with an answer. He thinks he knows. Robert, what are you going with?
Well, based on the chart, I just looked at the 7th house to describe the type of person that the woman was attracted to. And Venus, Saturn, Taurus, right? This is all in Taurus, right? Venus, Saturn node in Taurus.
It's in Capricorn.
Capricorn. Okay. Earth sign. All right. Same. That's like carpentry, you know, that's like working with your hands, like an earthy profession. So I just went with that. Yeah.
Jessica, do you have an answer for this one?
Yes. And I disagreed. And I went with photographer for all of the same things that were just described, like using the same process and everything else. But for me, I focused mostly on Venus, Saturn. Venus, Saturn, when I think of like specifically black and white photographers, people who have a keen awareness and knowledge and specificity of like the shadowing, negative space. That's a very Venus, Saturn ruling a Libra, like an artist's dominion, particularly with Neptune. I even thought like probably has not just still frame knowledge, but moving picture knowledge, kind of a thing. But that was what I went with, was photographer.
So it looks like you guys have finally given different answers. So one of you has to be wrong and the other one has to be right. Or maybe you're both wrong. I don't know. Well, actually, I do. I'm teasing. The point goes to Cryptodamus because this person's husband is a carpenter, right? Now, this one is particularly sadistic because I have been posting on Twitter a lot recently about how Neptune is photography and filmmaking, and we've got Neptune here, making close contact with the Saturn Venus conjunction that would give the indication of carpenter. However, the trick that I think is here is that Neptune is declining from the angle, right? It has just passed the descendant. And even though it's only a few degrees, once a planet goes past that angle, its significations become much, much less important, right? And much, much less powerful. So the correct answer is that this person's husband is a carpenter. This person's husband also owns their own carpentry shop and is quite successful with it.
Right? Yeah, that makes sense because of the North Node. Venus Saturn, like that brings to mind to me like a stonemason or like sculptor or architect, somebody who's working with form and beauty together in the physical world.
Oh well, looks like someone has set up. It's a Yotir astrologer has commented because this chart is from him that says that this person did study film too. So I guess that's not their profession, but perhaps a hobby or an interest. Very tough, very, very tough. But okay, so
it's freaking hard to tell somebody's profession from not from their own chart.
Yeah. And that exaltation lord in the 11th, like the dream of photography.
Well, I used to be a photographer, and I do not have any Venus Saturn contacts.
Well, I guess we are testing, the limits of astrology with this. What can we tell, right? Okay, so all right. Well, what do we have?
Well, we've got an updated score, Alex. We finally got a difference. We've got 4 to 3.
Oh, really? Okay, who's in the lead?
Cryptodamus is in the lead. Jessica Irene is getting angrier by the second.
All right. So it's all coming down to this last one. If Crypto stumbles here and Jessica gets it right, this could go to sudden death. Otherwise, the game is over. All right, so let's go to the final question. Okay, this is a question about transits, right? Now, let me, it's not displaying properly on here. 1 second. Let's do it like this. We're all smaller now, but now everyone can at least see the chart. Okay, this is a question about transits. We want to know what happened to this person. Was it a job promotion, a trip abroad, property damage, or marriage? Okay, guys, you have 5 minutes. Just buzz in when you're ready, and I will turn you off.
Wow, all right, Alex, heating up. It's one of those baseball games, right, where you don't get a score until the 6th inning or something.
Well, what do you think about this question, Alberto?
So I was a little stumped on this. I was trying to think about the sort of trigger planets, so not the outers, but or even whatever, like Jupiter or Saturn, but like what's Mars doing maybe in here. I was thinking about the house significations as well, and I noticed there's kind of a pile up in the 6th house, in the whole sign house chart. So health, right? Maybe that could be that. I don't see a lot happening in the 10th or in the 2nd. There's nothing triggering stuff there. The 9th has Mars in it, so maybe there's something about a trip. The 7th has the sun in it. There's this person's birthday, is coming up. I don't know. I'm a little bit at a loss, but what clues might you have?
Well, I mean, we want to look at the aspects here, right? So what are the most exact aspects that are happening? So we've got transit Mars is here at 1 degree of Gemini. squaring partile this person's Venus, right?
Mhm.
Then we've also got Uranus. And where is Uranus? Uranus is at 1 degree of Taurus. It is also making a sextile to Venus. So Venus is being aspected by by Uranus and Mars, which are both very disruptive planets, right? Um, so you know, I feel like that is a big clue for this question. All right, it looks like someone is buzzing in. Let's bring them back on. Okay, Cryptodamus, you buzzed in. What is your answer for this?
Well, I thought this was the only easy one. And Pluto transiting the fourth house cusp and heading to a conjunction with Saturn looks like destruction of property. So I had to go with that.
What about you, Jessica? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree that like the obvious thing to go for is property damage. I know that this person, just based off their placements, was born right around the same time I was, and I know a thing or two about that whole pileup on that 24th degree of Capricorn and it not going the way you think it goes, or not going the obvious way. But I did actually think that it went the obvious way and that this is property damage because there's a the Mars square to Venus is on top, the Mars square to Venus, and also knowing that Taurus is their perfected fourth house during this year, they're absolutely accruing debt by whatever is happening here. So I went with property damage.
You guys are both correct. It was property damage. Actually, what happened is this person was sitting in their house reading when someone crashed their vehicle into their car, parked outside, and then sped off, right, as a hit and run, totaled his vehicle, and then just raced off into the night, right? So very
Oh, damn.
yeah, very much Uranus, Mars, Pluto, just like something comes in, shocking, and then as soon as it comes in, it's gone, right?
Huh.
So yeah, that is what happened here. So okay, all right, Alberto. I think we've got a winner now, don't we?
We do, and let me announce that it is Cryptodamus.
It is Cryptodamus, everybody. The victor of Astrology Deathmatch episode 2.
All right, Twitter bragging rights right here, baby.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. And everyone at home, thank you for playing along. And thank you for indulging the technical snafus and the delay. But I mean, when you get to know me, you know that like this is basically par for the course. And, you know, it's always coming in on the skin of its teeth. So
wait, what did I win?
So, well, yes, that is the thing, that you win a special prize. Now let me go and get it. I will be right back.
Oh, okay.
You need the spoils.
That's right. I won like 1 Bitcoin, right? Come on. There should be some prizes here. I put my life on the line, man.
That's right. That's right.
So, in addition to you know, getting to witness Jessica Irene be disemboweled, because this is Astrology Deathmatch after all. I mean, that's probably the sweetest prize.
True.
But I put up one of my talismans for each one of these shows, right? And this is the talisman that you have won. This was elected under a Mars at its exaltation degree in Capricorn. And it also has the moon in a benefic enclosure. So this is the most benefic Mars talisman that I have made. It is probably the you know, a little bit softer Mars than I usually go for. But I think that this could be good for, like, you know, the kind of the suave Mars, right? Maybe that, maybe not so much, the crazy madman, but a little bit more of, just that kind of assertive masculine energy. So
Yeah,
I
my Mars and Scorpio really needs strengthening, Alex.
Well,
I'm gonna wear it. I'm gonna wear it very cautiously. But I'll take the fame, glory, and wealth.
I mean, if you don't want it, I'm sure I could find someone else.
No, I want it. I want it. I'm just gonna wear it very carefully. I'm just gonna wear it very carefully, very cautiously.
Great job, guys. This is super not easy, and everybody playing along at home too. Thanks for playing along.
Thanks for
this
having me.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming on. This is really intense stuff, and very difficult. And the fact that you guys did as well as you did is, I mean, it's impressive. I mean, crypto got every single one right, and the question that Jessica missed, basically, it was the debate question, or the answer that was, the second most likely. So, it's another really close thing. So I'm just happy to see everyone come together and play this game. Thank you guys so much for doing it, and I hope everyone enjoyed it as well.
Had a
All
great
right,
time.
guys.
Thanks, man.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
guys.
much.
Guys.
See ya.
See you next time.